Welcome to SVL Free News and Views for Friday, May 10th. We're getting ready to come up on Mother's Day weekend. Hope everybody's planning a great Mother's Day and maybe perhaps spending time with your mom this weekend to celebrate. And also, if you only have memories to look back and see the impact your mom had on your life today. So first of all, let's thank all of our sponsors: Mitchell College, Randy Marion, Piedmont Healthcare, Blue Harbor Bank, Fast Fields, Key to Escape, The Escape Room, and Statesville Family YMCA. Okay, Iredell County was rocked this past Saturday night with the death of Officer Jordan Sheldon, the K-9 officer from the Mooresville Police Department. Just a tragic and senseless shooting down there in Mooresville, and everybody has reached out. It just feels heartbroken for what's happened to Officer Sheldon. He was an up-and-coming young man. He gave back so much to his community. And looking for any kind of ray of hope in this event, we got a quote from Sheriff Darren Campbell. He said, "Some positive things may have resulted out of this tragedy," and trying to say how they can work to reduce the impact of these type of shootings. He says, "Our connection with other law enforcement agencies is becoming tighter as we work together in these trying times to maintain safety and security. Our friendships forged a little tighter as we look towards each other for comfort and support." Mooresville Police Chief Damon Williams also said, "It's going to be a long week for Mooresville. In my 15 years, I've had this call now twice. You can't imagine. You go from effective to ineffective very, very quickly." So our hearts and prayers go out to all those, the Sheldon family, and also the extended family, the Mooresville Police Department. And as you can see here, one of our sponsors, Randy Marion, was honoring Officer Sheldon. You see here how they had the flag, the large flag they have off of I-40 there at half-mast at their store, the Chevrolet store over there. So I want to thank them, and all the community has reached out to honor this first responder who put his life on the line. And there's so many all first responders put their life on the line each time. So thank a first responder today. Thank them for all they do. Okay, I'm here. You can see it over across behind me is City Hall. We're here today. Mike Fuhrman is going to sit down with City Manager Ron Smith, who was formerly the Iredell County manager, but now he's City Manager here in the City of Statesville. He's talking about the budgets coming up. New budget's going to be taking place be in effect very soon, and what he's got on that budget, and also the need for a new ladder truck for the Statesville Fire Department. So we're going to meet with him. If you haven't done it yet, go to svlfreenews.com and sign up for your email edition, which comes out every morning at 5 a.m. Always local, always free. SVL Free News. Stay up to date on everything that's going on here in Statesville. Okay, so there you have it. So we're going right now to Mike Fuhrman and Ron Smith and talk about the upcoming budget for the City of Statesville.
Thanks, Bryan. I'm joined today in Statesville City Hall by City Manager Ron Smith. Ron, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Been a long week for those who work in city government. You had your big council meeting this week where you presented the budget for 2019-2020. We'll get into that in just a minute, but I thought a couple of other things that were worth talking about were the council had a split decision with the mayor casting the tie-breaking vote for the city to spend $2.2 million, which gets them a match with some DOT money to move Bethlehem Road around the airport. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit first about the timeline for that project, and then what that will accomplish in terms of helping the airport.
Okay. Well, the decision that the council made Monday night was basically an extension of another decision that happened last year, I believe. And it was through the budget process, and $2.2 million was put in the budget to partner with NCDOT to relocate Bethlehem Road, which would create a direct connection to Old Mountain Road. So the money was actually allocated in the 2018-2019 budget. The decision the other night was really just to establish what's called a project ordinance, which says this is a project, this is something we're moving forward on, and to enter into an agreement with the state to set forth all of the parameters of the contract. So we will now that this has been done, move forward. We are administering the project, whereas the state would generally do something, especially of this size. Mm-hmm. So we will run it through the actual process based on those parameters of the contract, and then I believe construction would be let by 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
So, and the overall goal here is to make it easier for people to get in and out of the airport?
Yeah. We being more of a corporate airport, we have a lot of people that drive in, and for instance, they take some of the race teams take Victory Air and fly out. This will provide a much more direct connection to the airport. It will give us a good connection to Troutman, to Mooresville, and points south, and ultimately just via 77.
Okay. And there was obviously some division amongst the council on this project. Councilman Steve Johnson and some others were concerned that the $2.2 million wouldn't cover the city's entire responsibility in the project, and they talked about pursuing other grants or asking the state to spend more money, and it seemed pretty clear that the state was going to spend $2.2 million, and the city was going to kind of be on the hook for the rest. So that's why I think there was, difference of opinion on the project and the value of the project to the city.
Yes.
Another big issue, lengthy discussion, concerned the purchase of or lease of a new ladder truck. The city's ladder truck has been out of commission for a few months. We've had to rely on Troutman bringing their ladder truck up here several times for a few fires. Chief Lee and yourself recommended to the council that they spend, I think, $350,000 to repair and maintain the existing truck, and the council was more of a mind to spend 1.1 or 1.2 million to buy a new ladder truck, and ostensibly that was because the existing truck has 4 or 5 years of service left in it, and they saw that as not a good investment, the $350,000. So tell us about the next steps and what's gonna take to get the truck here as soon as possible.
Well, we've already been in touch with the vendor, and it's really rolling pretty quickly. We will come back to the May 20th meeting, and the council will adopt, if they so choose at the time, a budget amendment and basically the financing terms, because this would be a lease purchase. And they will adopt all of that and make it official. But I've sent a letter of interest to the vendor now, so we've basically secured the truck according to them, and we just need to get all of our ducks in a row from the procurement standpoint to do it. It was a little difficult to be able to pivot that quickly at the meeting to say, well, we're going to spend 1.2 or 3 million to make this purchase, because we had come in with another recommendation. I think they did, made a good decision. I did not expect them to go that route, so hence the other recommendation. So, unfortunately we had to put it off a couple weeks, but I think we'll get it pretty quickly after that.
And so the hope would be to have the truck in service maybe in August?
I would say by August, certainly. I think we were thinking maybe July even.
Okay. Well, and then the bulk of the meeting, I think, was taken up by your presentation of the budget. I'll just hit a few highlights. It's a $111 million spending plan, which obviously includes all the money the city generates from selling electricity and servicing water and sewer. There's a tax increase for property owners of 6.39 cents per $100 valuation to 54.5 cents. Water rates are going to go up 3%, sewer 3.5%, no increase in electric, no raises for city employees, and I think something that probably wasn't talked about a lot would be the creation of the stormwater fee, which property owners probably will see during the next budget year as well, right?
Yes.
So to the average taxpayer or city customer, that all sounds a little gloomy. Tell us a little bit about what this budget accomplishes, what the goals were in putting together the budget, and maybe why this is a good value for taxpayers in the city.
Well, there's a lot there. Well, to the average resident, nobody wants to see a tax increase. I fully understand that. No manager wants to propose a tax increase. But in this case, through the budget message, I had pointed out some significant reasons as to why, I've recommended that. One of which is we ran into some very high costs to begin our entire budget process, and they were employee based, but they were basically unavoidable. We had a huge increase to our health insurance costs and a very big increase to our state retirement contributions. Particularly on the state retirement, that's something that's being passed down to us through the state treasurer's office. And it's a good reason. They're trying to stabilize the retirement fund, but that is on the backs largely of the communities that are contributing. From a health insurance standpoint, we have had some bad increases in the last couple of years, and I expect that it's going to extend to next year, both of those things. But what that did is that put us in a hole. But the bottom line is you got to take care of your employees, because the employees are the ones that do the work for the city, meaning that they do the work for the residents. So to get everything done that we need to be able to keep our employees and do a good job. Conversely, and which I really loathed to do this, I recommended that we don't give a salary increase to employees. That was largely, due to money, but also the fact that those other two costs are employee costs. And it was going to be difficult to really raise the tax rate entirely, and probably more so to give the raises. I have not recommended passing any of the costs on to our employees, which is, I hate to say it, it's a de facto increase, but I just felt it was the best of a bad situation. Water and sewer rates, those are relatively minor increases, and several years ago there was we do rate studies for water and sewer and electric, and in the water and sewer funds, that was a recommended rate. We were expecting that, so that's just kind of built into the overall budget. Stormwater, stormwater has been much talked about, and we're trying to get the information out, as well as we can. We had conversations with our biggest industries, meaning the ones that have the biggest impact to them. We started those conversations probably in January, I would say. The council's been discussing it for probably a year or so, or if not actually more. And so we're ready to roll that out on July 1. That's going to be an enterprise fund, and so the money that we bring in through the program will be spent. But we will not spend any more than what is brought in through the stormwater fee. It's still being debated in council, but essentially the program is in place. There are some specific questions that a couple of the councilmen have, so we're going to deal with those in June. But for the most part, that's a program that's going to happen, and it's mandated.
Right.
We can go to the level that we feel is necessary, but there is a mandated portion of it.
So I think that I may not have the number exactly right, but I know it's over $1 million in that fund, and you have to staff that department. You have to buy some vehicles, and I think it also mentioned in the budget that there were 2 projects that you would try to undertake during the first year. Do you know more about those? Have they decided what those would be?
Well, I believe they've decided what they're going to be, and I'd have to look back to see specifically which street names they were, but with those projects, the way that I see it is we'll have kind of 3 facets. One, we'll have the big projects, the major projects that have been there a while that we really need to get taken care of. 2, we will have day-to-day calls. So we're, I feel like we'll get calls from residents, when there's an issue with a tail ditch or a drain or whatnot. So we'll be dealing with those on the maintenance side. But the third part, which has really not been talked about a whole lot, is the post-construction ordinance that we'll have for new development that's coming in. And people don't think that there's a whole lot of new development in Statesville. There actually is a fair amount. And we will have to review plans, inspect the facilities that are put in, and basically have another level of permitting for new development that'll take place. So we'll have the maintenance, and we'll have the review and the enforcement part of that as well.
Now, in the discussion about the water and sewer increase, I think one of the important components is that the city is investing money in the water and sewer infrastructure, and that's what you talked about in the budget message. Part of the reason that increase is necessary. Are there concrete plans on the table for infrastructure improvements?
Well, we do, we obviously have maintenance for both, which is built in there. And we do have some expansion plans that are kind of baked into it. Mm-hmm. And some are specific, some are there to prepare for future growth. Mm-hmm. We have one in particular, I don't know if I want to go into the details of it, but it's a pretty significant expansion that we've already started the modeling on, which is basically making sure that the flows are all correct for the design of the lines. But yeah, that is a big part of it. Is future expansion, because there's got to be a balance between, we were talking about this before this on air, is the foundational issues of the city and then growth issues for the city, and it's really got to be a balance between the two on how we spend the money.
Okay, so in terms of the budget overall, the council certainly will have the final decision. They'll have a public hearing to receive public input on the budget, and then they'll have to approve the budget by July 1st?
Yes.
So that covers this year. Let's talk a little bit about how this kind of sets the stage for coming budget years. And part of your message was this year might actually be an easy budget year compared to what's on the horizon. What are the major concerns that are kind of driving that going forward?
Well, the lack of revenue to cover the costs that we're already anticipate seeing. I mean, that's the crux of the issue. Statesville's growing, but it's not growing fast enough to meet some of the needs that we've had. And I think we're still kind of feeling effects of the recession. Mm-hmm. Because everyone, all cities, counties probably were, they shrunk. Mm-hmm. And expansion is difficult in a local government scenario. So you only want to do it when you have to do it. And the activity is beginning to pick up, but a lot of times it takes a while for that activity to hit our revenue stream. But the need for services is there. Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure we meet those. But next year is going to be tough because we're going to have capital needs again. We know this. The two costs I mentioned at the beginning, the personnel costs are going to be there. We know that the state retirement number is going to be about the same. I would expect that health insurance will be too, unless we can figure out a way to crack that code. Mm-hmm. So we've got some grants that may not cover all of the same amount that they're covering this year, might be a little less. Mm-hmm. Next year. So we just I wanted to be realistic with the council to say, even though I'm proposing 6.39 cents, it's not something that, in my opinion, is going to end everything. Mm-hmm. If we do take on any major construction projects, mm-hmm. there's debt service that'll have to be dealt with, and that is more more money going out. Mm-hmm. So, but on the flip side, to attract people to Statesville, to keep us growing and keep the services to the citizens being met, you have to make those investments. Mm-hmm. So, and it does cost money.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time today. We'll look forward to attending the next meeting and the public hearing and seeing how this all shakes out.
All right,
thank you.